Hey everybody, it's Dr. Will Cole. We're live here in our Functional Medicine Health Center where we see patients around the world via webcam and phone consultations and locally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been seeing, it's all right. All right, so we've been doing Tuesdays at 2 p.m. where we get to talk to people about different health topics, and today we have a very special guest, my friend Nikki Sharp, best-selling author, wellness guru. Nikki Sharp, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself to everybody here on our Facebook page.
Sure. Hi, I'm really excited to be doing this. I love that you guys are doing the Facebook Lives, and I'm definitely not doing enough of them. But I am a best-selling author. I created a book called The 5-Day Real Food Detox. I also have created a #1 app in the Apple Store, Android as well, best-selling app. And I know a lot about health and wellness. I've studied, for the past couple of years, and here to talk about some really fun things. I love the topic we're going to talk about. So I'll let you kind of take it from there and explain.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Out of all the wellness people that I know, Nikki's probably the best traveled one, and she gets to go to all these cool places around the world to talk about health, talk about wellness, and do her thing. So I thought, what better person to talk to about staying healthy while you travel than the one and only Nikki Sharp. So we're going to talk all about traveling, guys. We're going to talk about, okay, a lot of our patients ask us, we're going to go on vacation, or we're not going to be at a normal house. How do we stay healthy? How do we stick to what we are trying to do? And it can be daunting, and it can elicit anxiety in people and worry, and how they're actually going to navigate it. And the most of the common consciousness is to say, well, I'm going to throw out healthy eating while I'm traveling because it's vacation, or you can't do anything about it. You're just gonna enjoy yourself. And I think there's two misconceptions there. You A, can stay healthy while you're traveling, and B, you don't have to just eat like a rabbit to be healthy either. You can enjoy food and enjoy your vacation and still eat healthy while you're away. So let's jump right into it, Nikki. What are some ways to prep for travel, to make the flight or the car ride easier?
I love it. I love this topic, and I'm going to kind of expand on everything there. But what I've noticed with people is that either they're too scared to travel because they have, they're gluten-free, vegan, this, that, the other, paleo, raw, like whatever you prescribe to diet-wise. A lot of people that I work with are actually terrified of traveling because they're scared of, not being able to stick to their diet. And my biggest mentality when it comes to travel is explore and enjoy the culture. That's it. So it's not about kind of giving up your diet, but and we'll talk about it, how to find a healthy moderation, balance, all of that. But for example, I was just in Italy and I didn't gain a single pound. Bloating, yes, because you're not eating the foods normally that I would here. But I ate pasta and cheese and pizza and wine and like croissants and everything that is like deemed bad in America. And I was totally fine. And so it's all about really like when you go into a culture, eating. Oh, are we there? Yeah, we're good there. Okay. It's all about eating, what's fresh and local in that culture. So when it comes to starting off, like preparing, I personally love to make sure that I have lots of water. So I will always drink as much water as I possibly can before the flight and then during the flight, especially when you're flying, because it's so incredibly dehydrating, flights are. I always make sure that I have a green juice the day of, and again, just extra hydration. And then and we'll talk about snacks and everything kind of upcoming. And then other things that I do is, like packing certain supplements, bringing my own tea. So one thing that I love to do, and this is going to sound kind of weird, you probably know it, but a lot of viewers don't, is I'll take a bottle of water and a tea bag, and I bring both of those, or I buy the bottle of water when I'm at the airport, or then if you're traveling, and you just take the tea bag and you put it into the bottle of water. and that's it. It doesn't need to be hot water, and people think that, you know, you can only do hot tea, but you still get all of the benefits, the antioxidants, especially like green tea. So that's like one of my go-to tricks that I always do. And I always, it turns your water, you know, tea looking. So people get a little wigged out, but it's little things like that that are so incredibly easy. And like, you can do that when you're in another country and have a green tea on the go.
I love that idea. And I love yerba mate, which is the box that you had.
Right.
Great idea. I actually have never done that before, but yeah.
Really?
Good stuff. So yeah, how about snacking? What do you do for having snacks, portable snacks while you're on the plane, so you don't have to like get junk food?
Right. So I'll show you this really quickly. What I do is when I'm traveling, I have a little kind of container of stuff of like, not container, but a little baggie where I put like floss and little toothpaste and eye drops and Advil if I need it. And then I do chlorophyll drops, and then I'll do like 3 different tea bags of this and like 2 different peppermint tea bags. And you just have it in this little pack, and I carry it everywhere with me. So it's one of those really, really simple things that you always have. So for snacks, I'm going to divide it into 2 categories. One is the plane. Another is like if you're just traveling around town. So people always are saying, oh, I don't know what to eat snack wise. And you don't even need to meal prep. That's the amazing thing. You can go to any single grocery store in America and pretty much in the entire world and get fresh fruit and like raw almonds and nuts. True. That and water, best snack ever. And you can get it 100% of all gas stations. That's the great thing. And you don't need to get the ones that are roasted or salted. You just get raw almonds. They're like $1 a pack. Get a banana, which is 50 cents. Get a bottle of water. Perfect snack.
It's great, and it's easy, and they travel well. They won't get damaged so easily.
Exactly. And I like bananas over apples just because apples, you don't know the kind of film on it. A lot of times there's a lot of pesticides in that, the waxy film. When it comes to planes, this is one of the most surprising things to me. People don't know that you can bring your own food on. So because of the liquids, everyone thinks that you can't bring anything on. So people are always really surprised when I walk up with like my whole food salad, which looks amazing, or, you know, like pieces of fruit. You can actually bring entire cartons of fruit on a plane with you. You might get a few looks, but you can do it.
Yeah, who cares? Who cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, and that's a great idea. And and we do that too. When we're flying, we hard boil eggs. If you eat eggs, super easy. You're gonna get looks of peeling eggs. You could peel them, I guess, before you go on it, but I full on peel it on the plane. I don't care. But that's another good idea too for people who eat eggs.
I think hard-boiled eggs are an incredible thing to bring. I always like bringing cucumber, like sliced cucumber, and then I'll do watermelon. There's these really amazing things called lemon cucumbers, and they're like this big, like a little kind of ball shaped, and you can just sit there and eat them like a tomato. So cucumbers and watermelon are your best bet for when you're flying, and you know this, but then a lot of people don't know that when you're flying and all the recirculated air is really dehydrating. And so when you have something like watermelon and cucumber, it's really, really hydrating for the body. So I'm like the weirdest person. I bring little snacks of hard-boiled eggs, like cucumber slices, watermelon, or like my little lemon cucumbers. And then I always I buy 2 to 3 bottles of water, liter bottles, and I drink a lot of water when I'm on planes, and I'm probably going to the bathroom every 10 minutes, but it not only helps with keeping your face look refreshed, it helps with jet lag. So another little trick that people don't realize is when you're traveling, you want to stay hydrated as much as possible to avoid jet lag. And then the second part of that is when you're going into a different time zone, like let's say you're going to Italy, you want to sleep according to their sleep schedule. So you might get on the plane and it's nighttime for us, but it's daytime for them. So you don't want to go to sleep on the plane until it's nighttime for them.
That's a great idea. A great idea. Another portable snack that just popped into my mind is tuna salad. I
Mhm.
make tuna salad with like wild caught, albacore tuna,
Yeah.
and we use Simple Mills almond flour crackers. You're not getting just junk crackers. There's almond flour crackers, but it's easy to dip and just have it there too. I didn't want to forget that for people who are watching this too. Those are
Exactly.
great things. So now you're at your destination. You're on your trip, your work trip or your vacation. How do you navigate restaurants? So Restaurants 101, what are your tips to eating out wherever you're at in the world?
Love this question. I'm going to say one more thing back for the when you're traveling as well. You can order online or go to Whole Foods or any, like most every grocery store nowadays has kale chips. They have healthy fibrous chips, which are, gluten-free, vegan, whatever it is, they don't have all the nasty stuff in them. These stores have like dehydrated fruit, and you always want to look for things that is just 100% fruit, no sugar added. You can order these online and you get them shipped, and it's like getting kale chips and bringing them on a plane is one of the easiest things. And so when people are like, oh, I don't know how to eat healthy, it's like, buy one thing and just stick to it. Every time you travel, just make sure it's in your bag. One of my clients travels a lot, and she doesn't eat as healthy when she doesn't have a snack pack ready to go. So what I make her do is basically prepare 6 days worth of little snack packs and put them in her car. And so she always has them ready to go. And it's just, small little pack. You do it on a Sunday. So there should be no difference doing that versus flying, going to, school or an office. So it's just these like small little things. It's not this big grandiose, like, oh my God, I need to do everything different. It's the small little changes that really.
Absolutely. I think that you're absolutely right. And just on the topic of kale chips, before we jump into restaurants, Starbucks, they get a lot of flack in the wellness world, but I'm finding that any airport you go to, there's almost always going to be a Starbucks, and in any city that you go in. And they've been having an increasingly good amount of decent kale chips and dried fruit bags, like apple slices, which, kudos to Starbucks for doing that. They have some great gluten-free treats as well, and Kind bars, which are decent as well. So pretty good options. They may not be the best, healthiest thing under the sun, but they're great when traveling as well. And who doesn't know where a Starbucks is at?
They are. And I would say for people going to Starbucks, to, as much as possible, avoid the, when you walk in and there's the, where you look in and you like pick what sandwich you want. I would say avoid at all costs, because that has like 1,000 trillion ingredients in it. Just stick to the things in this case that are already packaged. Yeah. So the raw nuts, or, they have coconut water, they have sparkling water, they do have juices, they have Kind bars, which are not the best, but they're better than what you're going to find in the little case. So like a coffee and a croissant there is not a healthy option when you're doing it with milk and sugar and all of that. But you can get a pack of raw nuts, a black coffee, put some soy milk in it, way better option.
Yeah, and they also have coconut flour little cookie macaroon things as well, which again, they're better than going and having the pastry in the big glass, whatever you call that thing.
I know
it's like, I don't know.
I know, that's so funny. Where I'm like, neither of us can think of what it's called.
Yeah.
Okay, so restaurants.
Yeah.
Restaurants. I love this question because, and especially, I'm plant-based. I do still eat meat occasionally. I do still eat cheese occasionally and eggs occasionally, but it has to be like the best quality if I'm doing that. So that being the case, a lot of people come to me and say, well, it's impossible to eat vegan or plant-based at restaurants. And it's completely opposite. It's actually healthier to eat plant-based than anything else, because every restaurant is going to have sides of vegetables. And like one of my favorite things to do is if I'm going to like a fish restaurant or a meat restaurant, is order all the sides. So you get steamed broccoli, steamed spinach, mushrooms, sauteed mushrooms. And if you are vegan, you can just say, can you cook it in olive oil instead of butter? So all the sides are going to be your best bet. And I actually like to order the sides to come before the meal. so that you're not tempted to eat all the bread. So if you sit down and they have bread, just immediately give it to the waiter. It's, the bread's probably not going to be that good either. If you're going to be eating bread, for me, it's always like, have it somewhere where you know that it was like mom made it for you, because then you know that it's really great ingredients. So send the bread basket away, ask for some vegetables. And what I don't like telling people, never to eat anything kind of naughty or anything. Like, I'm the same. I like going to a restaurant and having a pasta dish. So the ways to do that is either splitting a dish with someone and not going for like appetizer, main course, dessert. It's like pick and choose the one thing that you're like, I'm going to splurge on this today. I don't like calling it cheating. You know how there's like the cheat meal? To me, it's a negative association with food. And I think that when we start to say that, it automatically goes into our mind that this is a bad thing to be having. And I'm like, I don't ever diet. I don't ever worry about what I eat. I don't call it a cheat meal. I just know that maybe I ate a little differently than I would normally. Mm-hmm. So that's like a mental trick that I like to kind of explain to people, but always asking for vegetables, always ask them to be steamed, sauteed. We know deep frying is not good for you. And then never be scared of modifications. So sushi restaurants, great example. Love sushi restaurants, Japanese. Ask for half the rice in the sushi roll. Every single restaurant will do this. 100% of them will do less rice. Some of them will they'll do brown rice. You just have to ask for it. Adding for extra vegetables in a roll is always good. So all of these little things, like it's the little changes that you can do, and just learn one and do it repetitively until it's no longer like a big thing. And you're like, oh, I just don't want the bread. I want, whatever else.
Yeah, that's great. And I think for anybody that's traveling, even if they're eating a restaurant at home, it's just to speak up for yourself. Yeah. Say, these are the things I can't have. And a decent server, not even a great server, is going to know how to modify things. And if they don't know, they'll get somebody else that does know. And you're not hurting their feelings. This is just a job for them. And they'll modify it for you. So oftentimes we're just afraid to speak up and say, I can't have this. And then it's amazing what you can do with any menu to suit one's dietary needs.
Right. What I love to do with clients is when they go to restaurants, they'll send me a photo of the menu. And then I say to them, what do you think is the best choice? And in that exact moment, one of my clients will write back to me and say, oh, I think this. And I say, yes, perfect. And then just ask for an extra side of something, or ask for, the dairy to be removed. And so it's starting to learn in that exact moment what's good, what's not. But I like to go back to, inherently, we know. Every single person knows what is healthy, what is not. Something deep fried is not healthy. You know it. You know something covered in butter and salt and sugar is not good for you. You know that processed food is not good for you. You know that real food is good for you. Colorful foods are good for you. So I like to give people more credit than I think that they're used to taking for themselves. Like, we inherently know what's good and what's not. We know we should be drinking water. We know less coffee, more water. So when you kind of keep that in mind and you feel empowered yourself, and like, you don't need someone else to tell you what to eat, what not to eat,
Absolutely. And I think also, too, going back to the point of saying about the cheat meal, is reframing the foods that you eat to not like all the things I can't have, to really loving your body enough to nourish it with good foods wherever you're at. And you want to feel the best you can feel while you're away. Who wants to end up feeling bloated and have to run to the bathroom when they ate something they weren't, that wasn't the best for their body on vacation? So I like that. I don't like cheat meal either. It's not a positive way to look at foods. And foods are either serving you or sabotaging you, and it's not a bad, a negative thing to avoid foods that don't make you feel great.
Right. And you don't even need to go as far as like, oh, I'll never eat this. Like, as Americans, we have the weirdest things with diet. It's like, we're this, we're that, people always ask, like, what are you? I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, well, what do you eat? Do you eat that? And I'm like, I don't label myself. That's what I do.
Yeah.
because I don't think that someone needs to know if I'm raw, vegan, paleo, if I eat meat or don't eat meat. Like it doesn't matter, but I can give you advice for sure. I can say, yeah, a plant-based diet, we know, is the healthiest option. We know that plants and fruits are 100% good for you. We know that. The rest of it is secondary. And I think, or what I've learned is people get so caught up in the mental aspect of, I can't do this, I can do this. I'm vegan, therefore I can't ever have honey. It's like, if you don't label yourself and you eat intuitively what you know to be good for your body and listen, everything starts to shift, and taking away the negative paradigm of, you know, I can't eat this, because as soon as you say that, what do? You want to binge on it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So on the topic of supplements and tonics and elixirs, what are some go-to things that you bring with you or have when you're traveling?
Yes, I love that. It's over in my kitchen there, but one thing I love bringing with me, and I look like the strangest person ever doing this, but I love bringing, and this is just a little jar of matcha. I bring my matcha with me when I'm on planes, and I sit there and I like mix little matcha green teas. If I'm not bringing this, I think that they're, you know, totally different. But one thing I love doing with this is when I get either an almond milk or soy milk, and almond being better than soy milk, we know, latte or cappuccino, I'll then mix in my own matcha into it just to give those extra antioxidants. And this is such a good thing, like especially if you're traveling and you have jet lag. Matcha is way better than, you know, shoving coffee down your throat all day long. Mm-hmm. I think that turmeric is incredible. We know that it's super anti-inflammatory. So I try to maintain a base level all the time, so that if you kind of go off of it, it's not this drastic coming back and like crazy. So I like to eat this way all the time. So I have turmeric as much as I can every day. And it's as simple as like putting it into water, mixing it in smoothies, sauces. Like I made black bean burgers last night and I put a bunch of turmeric in them. Easy way. You don't even taste it. I think that chlorella is an incredible supplement, especially if you're drinking or eating things that maybe aren't as good, because as we know, it's very detoxifying for the body. So that, I think that turmeric, chlorella, apple cider vinegar are like my go-to. So if you are bloated, apple cider vinegar, just keep drinking that throughout the day. And if you're traveling and you don't have apple cider vinegar, a really great way is lemon juice. So you go to any single restaurant, and yes, we got a comment saying include black pepper to make the turmeric bioavailable. I love it. I love that people know this sort of information.
This is the guy who asked that. It is Bill Staley, who is a health aficionado.
Amazing.
Primal Palate. So I have to give Primal Palate a shout out. Thanks, Bill.
I love it. And it's so true. It still is going to work in your body, but you absorb the turmeric and it actually gives you the correct benefits when you mix it with black pepper. So great call. But one thing I love doing is going to restaurants. And this is another little hack for restaurant eating, especially if you have cravings. This is like my number one kind of all around tip is sparkling water. So I go, I ask for some San Pellegrino, and then you ask for a side of lemon juice. You put the lemon juice in the water and you drink it. And it's great for cravings. It's great. It gives you tons of vitamin C, keeps you from getting sick, and then it really helps with bloating as well. So that's one of my big tips. And then just drinking water, We don't need to overcomplicate these things. Drink water, more than one cup a day.
Absolutely. And sometimes too, people are afraid of taking their supplements on the plane. They're afraid TSA is going to think they're hoarding drugs.
I know.
They don't care. I've always brought supplements. It's not a big deal. I never had an issue with that.
I actually have a funny story. I once brought magnesium powder and I didn't bring it in the big can that it was in or, container. So I put it in a little plastic bag and it looked like cocaine, or like what you see in the movies of like in the little Ziploc baggie. And I went through security and it was fine. but it made me laugh because I mean, magnesium powder apparently does look like cocaine from, what you see, and it ended up working out fine. But that'd be the only one where I'd be like, maybe don't bring that, or, bring the container. But they don't care about it. Oh, so the thing with traveling though, there's two good things to know about when you travel. You can't bring fresh fruits and vegetables into another country. So if you're on a plane, you have to eat the food or leave it on the plane before you go through customs. Just a good thing to know. So you can totally bring salads and everything on a plane. You just can't do it once you get in. And then the other thing is you can bring salads with you. Like I make mason jar salads, and you put the dressing at the bottom, and then worst case scenario, you shake it up. But if it's not, like a really big thing of dressing, they don't care at all.
Those are really good things. Yeah, if anyone's traveling internationally with the fruits and vegetables, the produce going through customs, and the salad mason jar, great idea, great tip.
Yeah.
All right, I think this week we gave the people some awesome tips.
I want to know your tips now, though. What are your go-to supplements and meal hack tips?
For me, traveling, if I'm home or I'm traveling, I take the same things with me.
Yeah.
As far as supplements are concerned, it doesn't change things for me. So if I'm taking turmeric or probiotics or, krill oil, I'm taking that home, or I'm taking that on the plane with me. I'm going to pack it. I always am doing that. Like you're saying, I'm just kind of always, it's just a way of my life. And I'm not going to let a plane or a train or a car or a trip stop me from my routine. It'd be maybe modified slightly, and then when I'm at restaurants, I speak up and I say, I cannot have, for me, I'm going to be grain-free and dairy-free. And they're going to make those, they're going to switch that up.
Are you grain-free, dairy-free for health reasons, or because you're celiac, for example? Yeah,
no, I'm not celiac. I just want to keep inflammation down as much as possible. Occasionally I'll make the exception for gluten-free grains, like a couple times a year, but I just feel the best. And I think that's really
what about if you're in Italy?
Yeah, well, it is an interesting topic, because most of our patients are via Skype, and we have patients in Europe, but the patients that are in the United States, when they go to Europe, they tend to have less reactivities against the in Europe, in Italy, for example. So that is true. The less hybridization of the wheat crops, less genetic modification of certain crops, and just overall better produce in general. So for myself, I think this is what functional medicine really excels at, is finding out what works for your body, what your body loves, and what your body hates. For me, I just feel better eating that way. And for some people, they're fine with those foods. So it's meant to find out what makes their body thrive,
It's because I know dairy makes me bloat like crazy. My face breaks out. I actually went and got a facial yesterday, and the woman goes, have you been eating gluten and dairy recently? I was like, well, besides being in Italy, it's yes, every meal. And I made a choice too, but I think that it goes back to that you feel best when you eat a certain way. And then maybe one meal a day, you're like, I'm going to have this gelato, and just make it a conscious choice of that's what, you're going to have that day. So it's not this, you're going totally off par of your diet or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. I think when it is second nature to you, and that's what I see with patients, is that transition from a diet or a program to, this is just my way of life and I own it and I know what makes me feel great. I know what doesn't make me feel great. Then it's you have some wiggle room, maybe the gelato, you're not going to have gelato at every meal, but if you have it as a treat, you're not going to pay for it later. So I think it's finding out your own individual wiggle room, and that's what people can obviously find out through themselves, and just becoming intuitive with their body, working with a functional medicine doctor or a health coach, so they can really find out what makes them thrive.
Yeah, I love that you keep saying own it. I love it, because I remember one of my clients who travels extensively, pretty much 5 days out of a week. When we first started working together, she was really scared of being the odd one out, because she works with a lot of guys, and she would get really nervous to make a decision where they make fun of her. And now she's in a place where she owns it and everyone else sees how she's thriving, and they might still like crack a joke, but for the most part, they all are asking her health questions now because she just owns it. And she's like, this is the way that I am. And I always say, if you go to a restaurant consistently, make friends with the chef. They start to get to know you, and they'll people are nice inherently. We like to help other people out. And it's, if you're owning it and saying, look, this is the way that I am, no big deal.
Yeah, and exactly. And when you own it, you don't care. People make a little bit jokes here and there. Just laugh with them. It's not, they're not trying to be mean. I don't think most people are. They're just teasing a little bit. And to be honest with you, oftentimes eating healthy can be a little bit convicting to some people because they feel bad about themselves and the food they're eating. So they're therefore kind of projecting that judgment on you a little bit. So it's, and educating people well and leading by example. I think no matter where you're at, if you're home or traveling, really eating the way that makes you feel best.
And with that, educating people too, I'll share a little story very quickly. When I was younger, I went through eating disorders and all of this, and this isn't really public knowledge yet. I haven't fully come out and said this, but I used to eat something and then feel really guilty about it. So then I'd go and restrict the next day and exercise. And so the big way that I got over all of this was by reframing my mind that exercise was no longer a punishment. It was the reward. So if I ate well, I got to go exercise the next day. If I ate really terribly, I didn't get to go exercise, so that you're not kind of going forward with this. Exercise becomes the punishment for something bad. And something like as simple as that shifted the way that I look at exercise. And now it's like, I love to exercise. People ask, how much cardio I do. And I'm like, 2 days a week, I do like 20 minutes of high intensity, and that's it. Because it's enough for my body to stay fit and healthy. I don't need to go to the gym and like spend hours, on a treadmill doing, whatever. And then I always share on Instagram stories, like when I'm drinking wine, or like last night I was recipe testing for my next book, and I had beautiful music on in the background. I'm drinking wine. My friend was here. We were having great conversation. I'm using all organic, natural ingredients. And I try to share that, it's not this drink or don't drink, cheat with your drinking. It's like, make it into a beautiful thing. Like my coffee, when I have in the morning, I grind my beans. I use a coffee press. I then make it into a bulletproof. So making a coffee takes about 15 minutes. And it's the labor of love that goes into that. And all of that affects your body and the digestion. And so that's another thing that, people get so caught up in this guilt factor. And it's like that guilt is affecting your digestion more than what you ate, which makes me laugh that,
Yeah.
People don't see.
We actually have a question here too, actually a comment. Bill Staley, Primal Palate, also said that gluten-free is very popular in Italy, and you can get gluten-free pasta everywhere. So that's another tip for people that are traveling around.
Did see that either him or someone else had asked, can you bring a frozen green juice on? You cannot bring it onto your carry-on because it can melt, so it's considered a liquid. You can, however, let's say you're going somewhere and they're not going to have juice, you can bring frozen green juices in your checked bag. You just, wrap it, all of that. But I know a nutritionist that I actually worked with on my first book would do that. She would bring like 5 green juices when she was going from London to Portugal, and then get there and she has juices for the rest of the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, guys, thank you so much for the questions, and thank you to Nikki for sharing all your wealth of information about staying healthy while traveling. We have to do this again sometime.
I would love to. I would love for everyone watching, if you guys write in the comments what you'd like us to talk about next time, like what questions you have, so that our dialogue can be just literally answering questions. I think that would be a really fun one to do.
Yeah, so even like after, if you're watching this on replay, just comment section below. We'll be checking this throughout the weeks to come, so we'll be able to give you the content that you guys are looking for. All right, Nikki, it was great seeing you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.